new babe.
So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Now listen, this video here is dedicated to Queen, right? It's dedicated to Queen. I'm gonna tell you why, right? Like, don't let us be watching like a horror movie or something like that. And y'all have heard me talk about it. So if you heard me, just give me a minute. It's for the new people. But if we watching like a new, not a new, but a horror movie or something like that, she'll look over me and be like, say for example, take for example, like maybe a Michael Myers Halloween type movie, right? And he be trying to go after whoever, and they run next door to the neighbors. Neighbor let them in, and then the neighbor gets killed. She'll look over at me and be like, should have minded her business. If she'd have minded her business, not answered the door, she'd still be alive. She'd be like that, man. And I'd be like, yo, but she was trying to help though. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. When you try to help somebody, you end up dying. Dead. Done. DOA. Like, she's serious about it. So I'd be like, you don't want to help? She'd be like, yeah, I want to help, but I'd be like torn. You know what I'm saying? About making somebody's problem my problem, and then me ending up dead for trying to help. So that's why I dedicate this one to her, because if she was watching this video, or if she knew this, matter of fact, I'm not even telling her I'm dropping this video, bro, because then she'd be like, I told you. You know what I mean? I'm not telling her. She don't need to see this video because I never hear the end of it at all right? So the title of this video is When Testifying Goes Wrong. You know what I mean? When testifying on something that you possibly seen, a murder or a robbery or a drug deal go down, or something you saw, you testified. Yeah, it could come back on you. It can come back on you. So basically, man, know your risk. And I think that's the best way to put it. Know your risk when entering these situations. And that's it. All right. So if you're new to the channel, man, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And at the end of the video, if you like it, run the likes up, man. Make sure you run the likes up. All right. Let's get to the video.
Number 7, Charlie Lewis. On June the 7th of 2020, 32-year-old Charlie Lewis was found dead in an alley in Denver, Colorado. She had been shot to death, and her body was discovered at 5 a.m. by a cyclist. Days earlier, on June the 1st, a homicide had taken place in nearby Aurora. On that day, at around 12 p.m., a gunshot was reported, and a 41-year-old man was found in serious condition. His name was John Cyprian, and he later succumbed to his gunshot wound in the hospital. A man named Stephen Young was a suspect in the homicide case. According to an Aurora detective, at one point during the night of the homicide, Charlie had been in a car with Stephen, as they were reportedly dating at the time. She had been the sole witness to the homicide. Aurora police put out a call for Charlie, believing her life to be in danger. Unfortunately, investigators suspect that Stephen got to her first. CCTV footage from June the 7th showed him and Charlie walking together shortly before the gunshot was reported. Stephen was then seen leaving the alley without Charlie. He was sentenced to life in prison, having been found guilty of John Cyprian's murder, as well as the murder of Charlie Lewis.
So y'all know what happened, right? He shot that dude, Charlie was with him, and she freaked out. And then he was like, oh, you gonna rat on me? Okay. And then he shot her too. Had to be something like that, or went down some kind of way close to that. Yo, you gotta keep your composure, ladies. You see something like that, you be like, ooh, you the man. And then you run when you get an opportunity. But you can't give away that you could basically be about to. I know that's easier said than done, but look, man, you gotta have that steel face. Poker face, put your poker face on, man. You can't give that away.
Number 6, Patrick Frazee. Patrick Frazee, a former investment banker, was accused of killing his fiancée, Kelsey Bereth. In 2018, Kelsey had last been seen shopping with their daughter in a Safeway store. Patrick reportedly killed Kelsey with a baseball bat, whilst their infant daughter played in another room. After the killing, Patrick recruited the help of his then-girlfriend, Crystal Lee, to clean up the scene. Crystal had been called multiple times by Patrick, as he previously wanted her to take part in the killing itself. Patrick then allegedly burned Kelsey's body on his property. Crystal's involvement made her a key witness in the case. Patrick was arrested on suspicion of the murder and taken to county jail. Whilst awaiting trial, he met another inmate, housed nearby. The inmate had tattoos affiliated with a prison gang, and Patrick showed great interest in them. Patrick eventually asked the inmate if he could use his connections to eliminate witnesses in his case. In exchange, Patrick said he would financially look after the inmate after his release. On paper napkins, which he passed to the inmate, Patrick wrote the names of the witnesses in the case and where they could be found. He asked that Crystal, her ex-husband, and her parents be made to disappear. Patrick then asked the inmate that he flush the napkins down the toilet after the information had been passed on. The would-be conspirator, however, was not willing to get involved. Instead of fulfilling Patrick's requests, he kept the notes and presented them to investigators. The inmate was questioned in court on why he'd come forward with evidence against Patrick. He replied that he felt it was the right thing to do and that he was hoping to have his sentence lightened.
Of course he was. Of course he was, bro. I'm tired of people thinking they could trust somebody in prison, fam. What makes you think you could trust this criminal? Criminal you put your trust in. Come on, bro. No. I'm glad he did turn you in, though, fam. You was about to do some damage. And look at the type of conversations that's going around in prison, bro. With the connections outside that they can have something done to you on the outside. Bro, they running things from the inside. Calling shots and plays outside. That's insane.
Crystal Lee, amongst the others on Patrick's hit list, had narrowly escaped avoiding a grisly death. She was nevertheless sentenced to 3 years in prison for helping Patrick and tampering with evidence at the scene. Patrick was eventually convicted for murder, solicitation to commit murder, and tampering with a deceased human body. He was sentenced to life in prison plus an additional 156 years. Number 5. Joshua Brown. Joshua Brown was a witness who had testified against Amber Geiger, a female Dallas police officer accused of the murder of Botham Jean in 2018. Just 2 days after Geiger was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the murder, Brown was found dead, only a few miles from where Jean had been killed. Brown, Jean, and Geiger all shared an apartment complex. According to Geiger, she'd mistakenly accessed what she thought to be her apartment. Inside, she found Jean sitting in a darkened room eating ice cream, unarmed. Geiger testified that she believed Jean had broken into her apartment and she was afraid for her life when she drew her gun and fatally shot him. The apartment Geiger had entered was in fact Jean's apartment, 1 floor below Geiger's own. Immediately after the shooting, and presumably after realizing her alleged mistake, Geiger called 911. During Geiger's trial, Joshua Brown provided crucial evidence in the case. He stated that he'd heard what sounded like surprise between Geiger and Jean prior to hearing the gunshots. According to Brown, no police commands had been uttered such as "put your hands up." After the shooting, Brown fled the apartment complex. He later returned to find Geiger pacing the hallway, crying on the phone that she'd made a mistake. Brown also testified that previously he'd accessed the wrong floor of the complex himself, by mistake, believing it to be his own. This became part of Geiger's defense. Brown was able to massively aid the investigation through his eyewitness account. So when he was found dead, shot in a parking lot, 2 days after Geiger's conviction, suspicions arose in the community. To date, however, there's no evidence that Brown's murder and Geiger's conviction are connected. Prior to the events, Brown had been caught up in a shooting at a club where he was shot in the foot and his friend had died. Brown reportedly knew the person who had shot him and was worried they might come back for him. His family stated that during the trial he was afraid of the publicity that it generated and that his cooperation with law enforcement might paint him as an informant and make him a target. An investigation revealed that at the time of his death, Brown may have been involved in a drug deal gone wrong. 3 men were later announced as suspects and indicted on capital murder charges. Number 4.
Wait. And I could have gotten that all wrong. But in my mind, fam, you out here testifying in this huge case that probably made news all over the place while doing drug deals. So what did you think? What did you think the people that you were doing deals with were going to think about you? That you the police? It gotta be a different. Or I had to have heard that wrong. I gotta clean my ears out better, bro. I had to hear that wrong. This fool was testifying in this case while all the while doing drug deals. Doing a drug deal with a probably highly recognized, televised case going on. And you didn't think they weren't going to think you was a snitch or an informant or they could trust you?
4. Mario Nero. In the early 1990s, Mario Nero was walking his dog in Foggia, Italy, when he witnessed the aftermath of a murder. He saw a man dropping a gun and fleeing from a dead body which lay in a pool of blood. The dead body was that of Giovanni Panunzio, a businessman who had refused to pay protection money to the Italian mafia. Due to the
I was already thinking the mafia. As soon as they said his name, I was like, oh boy. That's the worst type of murder to witness right there. From the mafia, bro? Oh, you might as well just pack your family up that day. As soon as you get home and like leave everything, we gotta go. No looking back. Don't call nobody telling them we going. Grab what you can grab right now and meet me in the car in 5 minutes. And if you ain't there in 5 minutes, you're staying. You're staying.
Fear of reprisals from the mafia, many who witnessed their activity do not report it to the authorities. Mario returned home and didn't say anything for 3 days. That was until Giovanni's son made an appearance on television, pleading for witnesses to come forward. Mario felt compelled to act. He went to the local police station and described what he had seen. He was able to identify the hitman through photographs provided to him by investigators. The hitman was named as Donato Deli Cari. Weeks later, police officers arrived at Mario's door to warn him and his family that they needed to leave and enter witness protection. They would be given a new house, a new identity, and financial support, but they wouldn't be able to contact their relatives or friends. Fearing for their lives, they agreed. They were moved to Tuscany, where they were housed in an apartment with no documents or identity. Being new to the local community and not having any identification documents caused great suspicion. Mario and his family were chastised. He was believed to be a pentito, which is the name given to former mafia gangsters who were placed into protection after cooperation with law enforcement. On one occasion, when his daughter was ill, Mario was stopped from entering the local hospital because of this rumor. Doctors would also not come to his house. After over a year, Mario and his family were finally provided a false name and given documents. They moved city 3 times, but the pentito rumor followed them. By 1997, the evidence provided by Mario had helped convict 46 mafia criminals. He was no longer deemed useful.
Dead man walking. Like on Green Mile, dead man walking. You bold. I salute him. I just don't think I could have did it and put my family in jeopardy like that. That's the mafia, bro. They remember all those stories, man. They had ties in with the police. They had, man, their reach was just. I would have never thought protective custody would have been good enough for me and my family. Because I still felt like they could get to me. And then who wants to live like that? Nah, man. I'd have witnessed that murder. I'd have pulled some glasses out of my pocket, pulled the little blind man cane out, and I'd have walked around like I ain't seen nothing. They would have swore I was blind, bro. I already had the dog beside me, so that had to be my seeing eye dog. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I ain't seen nothing.
It helped convict 46 mafia criminals. He was no longer deemed useful, so the government cut off his stipend and evicted him and his family. Mario enlisted the help of a magistrate and was eventually readmitted into the protection program with a doubled stipend. However, he remained angry at the government for uprooting his family's life and causing them years of difficulty and worry. Number 3. Maldonado Rodriguez. Maldonado Rodriguez was attacked in October of 2018 by 9 members of the MS-13 gang in Long Island, New York. He had intervened as the gang was threatening 2 teenagers. During the attack, he suffered multiple stab wounds and was hit in the head with a bat, but he survived. Because of his intervention, the gang members were arrested. Rodriguez was set to testify against them, but was brutally murdered before the trial. It was reported that the gang members in jail had ordered the killing, which was carried out by fellow MS-13 members who weren't incarcerated. The prosecution had allegedly obtained a protective order for Rodriguez's identity in December of 2018, but 1 year later, in December 2019, a judge's order had disclosed his identity, leaving him vulnerable. Number 2. Guy Coffey. Guy Coffey had been working as a police informant, tipping investigators off to crimes committed by a Baltimore street gang known as Train to Go. The gang was dangerous, mostly made up of drug dealers and guns for hire. At least 10 members of the gang were already in jail, awaiting trial. Guy Coffey's testimony was to be invaluable in putting them away. One of the gang members in jail was Taurus Tillman, also known as Tash. In a letter written to him by his defense attorney, Coffey's name was mentioned. This was because Coffey had directly named Tillman as having been responsible for a murder committed years earlier. With the gang aware of Coffey's identity, a $20,000 bounty was placed on his head. Tragically, he was hunted down within months and shot dead. Richard Bardos, Tillman's defense attorney, refused to comment on the letter mentioning Coffey's name. Number 1. Whitey Bulger.
20 G's, bro. It's people out there that would have done it for less than that. 20 G's, fam. The price they put on your head, bro. I hate to say it, man. This video is starting to make me feel like maybe maybe she's right, bro. You know what I mean? Maybe, just maybe, you know? I got a family to protect.
One of the most infamous gangsters in United States history, Whitey Bulger was the leader of Boston's feared Winter Hill Gang, responsible for nearly 20 killings between 1973 and 1985. He was finally brought to justice in 2013. In October of 2018, however, Bulger once again made the headlines after it emerged that he'd been killed inside a prison by fellow inmates. Bulger had just been transferred from a federal prison in Florida to the high-security U.S. penitentiary, Hazleton. Within hours, he was reported dead after he'd been severely beaten by more than one inmate. Witnesses close to the case say he was made unrecognizable. Over the years, Bulger had worked as an FBI informant, which may have led to him becoming a target. A mafia hitman, Fortios Freddy Geas, was a prime suspect in Bulger's killing.
How do they always find out? How? I don't get it. Prisoners are like prisoners should be released and hired on by police, bro. Because they are some of the best investigators out there, bro. They always find out what you've done or who it is that has been snitching on them. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be by the lawyer or the police some kind of way botch this whole thing up and the name gets released. But some kind of way, bro, they figure out who's been doing what, who's been snitching, who's been an informant. And they always seem like they can get to them. This is crazy.
Mafia hitman Fortios Freddy Geas was a prime suspect in Bulger's killing. At the time of Bulger's death, Freddy was also incarcerated inside of USP Hazleton and reportedly hated informers as well as men who abused women. Whitey had done both. According to sources, Freddy has not disputed his involvement in the killing. Thanks for watching. Would you testify against someone you knew killed your friend? If it meant you may be endangered, let us know in the comments section below.
That's a real question, bro. Would you testify if you knew you would be in danger? Would you testify? Would you testify? Would you put your family? Because you always got to remember, it's not just you. A lot of people want to say, yeah, because I don't mind. I'm willing to die for what I believe in and what I stand on. I respect that wholeheartedly, bro. I do. But what you fail to realize is most people, when they come after you, they don't just come after you. They come after you and those who are connected to you. So you have to make the decision, are you willing to take your family through that? Not just you. You know what I mean? If you don't have a wife and kids, then they're going to go after maybe your mom and your pops or those closest to you, or maybe your friends or something. They're going to figure out a way to find who's close to you. So that's what you have to think about. So y'all let me know in the comment section, all right? And make sure we run the likes up, all right? It's your boy L. Till the next reaction, I'm out. Peace.